All right, let's jump right into it. We're talking about a huge international story today, that last-minute ceasefire between the US and Iran. This is the one that basically pulled the world back from the brink of a major war.
So this is the headline that was just everywhere, right? Blasting across screens all over the globe. A really sudden, super dramatic development that stopped two major powers from what looked like an absolutely inevitable military conflict. And you've got to pay attention to those key words, temporary and just hours. That right there tells you just how fragile this whole situation is.
Okay, so let's get into what exactly went down here. You need to understand, this wasn't some kind of planned long-term peace process. Nope. This was a total last-ditch effort. Reports were saying a massive military strike was literally about to happen, an action that could have thrown the entire Middle East into chaos. This whole agreement came together at the very, very last second.
And, this de-escalation didn't just happen out of thin air. It was the result of this flurry of super intense, behind-the-scenes talks. We're hearing that multiple countries were involved acting as mediators, basically trying to pull everyone back from the edge of a cliff.
And get this is the timeline we're working with. Just 2 weeks, that's it. So this is not a long-term solution, not by a long shot. It's really just breathing room. A tiny window for everyone to cool off, and hopefully for more talks to actually start. That super short time frame really just highlights how urgent and delicate this whole truce really is.
So, you might be asking, why did this whole thing become front-page news all over the world? Well, it's because this is so much more than just a regional political spat. It has massive global economic consequences, and it all centers on one single critical location.
And this is it, the Strait of Hormuz. The best way to think about it is like a major artery for the entire global economy. It's this incredibly narrow channel, but its importance, you just can't overstate it. A huge chunk of the world's energy supply has to pass safely through this little waterway, every single day. And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, think about this number, 20%. A full fifth of the entire planet's oil supply moves through that one spot. So, any disruption there, it doesn't just affect a couple of countries. It sends immediate shockwaves through the whole global energy market. And, yeah, that means it hits prices at the pump for pretty much all of us.
And you can see that economic impact right here, clear as day. This chart shows you exactly how global markets reacted, instantly. The second the news of the ceasefire broke, oil prices, which had been shooting up because everyone was bracing for a conflict, they just dropped, sharply. It's basically a perfect picture of the world economy breathing a huge collective sigh of relief.
Okay, so what did both sides actually agree to in this temporary deal? Well, it's a pretty straightforward three-part agreement. It's really designed to do one thing: slam the brakes on the escalation and create some kind of path forward.
All right, first step, an immediate stop to all military actions. I mean, that's the core of any ceasefire, right? Second, they've got to make sure the Strait of Hormuz stays open, which of course deals with that huge global economic headache we were just talking about. And third, and this is the big one, a commitment to actually get back to the negotiating table. This is the crucial step that's going to decide what happens when these 2 weeks are over.
But here's the thing. Even with an agreement in place, if you look at the public statements, you can see there's still a pretty big gap between them. The US is out there framing this as a major diplomatic win. Meanwhile, Iran, they're calling it a positive step, but they keep hammering home the point that any real long-term solution has to include lifting economic sanctions. So their basic goals still very, very far apart.
And all of this, really, it brings us to the most important question of all. We've got a ceasefire, sure. We have a pause in the fighting, but what does that actually mean for the future of this conflict?
I mean, this is the one question that every diplomat, every analyst all over the world is asking right now. Is the threat of a bigger war really truly over?
And the answer, from everything we're seeing, is a very clear, very simple no. And it's so important to understand why.
Look, it's absolutely crucial to get the difference here. What we have is a pause. It's a temporary stop. Peace is a whole different ballgame. That requires a long-term fix for all the core issues that started this mess in the first place. And if these next negotiations fall apart, the fighting could easily restart, and frankly, it could be even worse this time around.
So here we are. The whole world is just watching and waiting. We're left with this incredibly fragile ceasefire that's basically holding back a tidal wave of tension and a future that's just completely up in the air. These next 2 weeks are going to be absolutely critical. The real question isn't just what happens next. It's whether this brief pause can somehow, some way be turned into a real path toward peace.